Before moving to the United States for grade 9, a former student of mine asked to visit me. Naturally, my time is invaluable, which means I don't see just anyone for free. In fact, I charge one printed essay delivered in person per visitation hour, which I think is very fair. Fahrenheit 451 is a novel by Ray Bradbury that imagines a future where books are banned and individuality is suppressed in the name of societal control. It's a modern classic and well worth your time, assuming your attention span hasn't been completely annihilated by 2025. Anyway, let's get into it. First of all, I'd like to celebrate my STAR students' formatting. Behold, the proper MLA heading, including the student's full name, her teacher's name, which is me, the hypothetical course that she's taking with me, and the date. Pages are numbered, with each page number preceded by her last name. The essay's title is centered with the word censorship, which is a keyword capitalized, and the title of the novel, Fahrenheit 451, is italicized since it is a full-length work as opposed to short works like poems or short stories. This essay's formatting is chef's kiss. Okay, now let's get into the bulk of this essay. The dystopian novel Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury is set in a society where books are outlawed. The protagonist, Guy Montag, works as a fireman, burning books and the houses in which they are hidden. After meeting his neighbor Clarice McClellan, who exposed the emptiness of his existence, and encountering a woman who chose to die in a fire he set rather than give up her books, Montag begins to secretly collect books to seek meaning in their pages. So all of this is great contextualization, but personally, I would get right into censorship because that is the main idea for this essay. If you're writing to a teacher who you can assume has read the book that you're writing about, there's no need to give too much summary. I would get right into the idea that you're getting at. Writing essays is also a lot like trying to make a YouTube video. You want to start off with a strong hook, something that's going to grab the reader's attention. So you want to start off with something interesting, get your reader's attention, and then you kind of narrow down that idea into your thesis statement, which is the whole argument for your essay. Summaries are necessary, but only when your reader doesn't actually know the context for your book. If they do, it's not going to be all that interesting to read. So she continues on here. A key theme in this novel is censorship, as information and ideas within books are violently suppressed. Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451 serves as a warning of the dangers of censorship. So here's her main idea, revealing how it can encourage conformity over intellectual freedom and individuality, resulting in a lack of genuine connection and curiosity. So over here, I've written, do your body paragraphs address this specifically? Keep in mind that in essay writing, each of your topic sentences for each of your body paragraphs should link back to your thesis statement. If they do not support your thesis statement, then they're not doing a good job of supporting your argument. So let's take a look at her first body paragraph here. Censorship in Fahrenheit 451 is enforced by the government not only through the burning of books, but also by manipulation of media and suppression of dissent. Great sentence, but recall the student's thesis. That is her essay's main argument, which is Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451 serves as a warning of the dangers of censorship, revealing how it can encourage conformity over intellectual freedom and individuality, resulting in a lack of general connection and curiosity. Our main idea here is that censorship encourages conformity over intellectual freedom and individuality, resulting in a lack of genuine connection and curiosity. So if we come back to her first body paragraph, censorship in Fahrenheit 451 is enforced by the government not only through the burning of books, but also by manipulation of media and suppression of dissent. We can see that this is an explanation as to how censorship is enforced, but it doesn't actually directly support this idea that censorship results in a lack of genuine connection and curiosity. So body 1 is well structured, but it might not back up the thesis directly. Explaining how censorship is enforced by the government is more contextualizing than analysis, okay? So the student goes on to do a pretty good job of backing up this point. She finds evidence from the text and does a great job of integrating her quotes. But because this main idea in the first body paragraph does not back up the thesis directly, it's not a very strong paragraph. So moving on, there are a few little nitpicks here and there, but nothing major. The student actually incorporates a pretty good idea, strong connection to the thesis down here. So I said, this is the best connection to the thesis so far. You should put it in front. Putting your stronger arguments earlier on is a pretty good way to convince your reader of what you're talking about. Here, the student says, when Montag mentions her to Mildred, she says, Clarice is gone for good. I think she's dead. This line, which was delivered so casually, suggests a lack of concern for Clarice's disappearance. This implies that Montag's society simply disregards those who don't fit in, preferring to leave the problems to the government and stay within their bubble of ignorance. So that idea right there calls back quite well to the idea here about censorship resulting in a lack of genuine connection and curiosity. So just to reiterate, try to relate directly to the thesis. How does this result in general apathy or lack of connection in society? Now let's apply the same logic to the second body paragraph. Does the topic sentence directly back up the thesis that was established earlier? Although censorship in our society is generally considered unacceptable, it is rationalized in Fahrenheit 451 as a necessary tool for preventing competition and social unrest that helps in avoiding conflict. So again, it's a decent sentence, it's a decent idea, it's well backed up by the rest of the body, but it's not really related to the thesis. So it might be worthwhile to actually rephrase the thesis to encompass the topics of the bodies at this point. Recall that the thesis is about how censorship results in apathy and a general lack of connection in society, whereas our idea here is about how censorship is rationalized in Fahrenheit 451 as a necessary tool for preventing competition and social unrest. So the same issue can be found in the third body paragraph, in that the topic sentence, the main idea for the third body paragraph, does not directly support the argument that was made in the thesis. So while Fahrenheit 451 undeniably condemns and warns against censorship, it also explores the allure of simplicity and peace, revealing how a misguided but sincere desire for happiness can lead individuals to embrace censorship. So our idea here is about how a sincere desire for happiness can lead individuals to embrace censorship. Again, recall that our thesis is that censorship leads to a lack of genuine connection and curiosity. Beyond that, there are just some minor details that are worth looking at. For example, ensuring that your tenses are consistent. Up until now, the student has used the present tense in her essay. So, for example, while Fahrenheit 451 undeniably condemns and warns, so it doesn't make sense to suddenly switch to the past tense even when describing an event that happened in the novel. So the student's real thesis can actually be found in her conclusion, because she's summarized the main points in each of her body paragraphs. She writes, in conclusion, the novel Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury condemns censorship through describing Guy Montag's society where books are burned, the media is heavily manipulated, and voices of dissent are suppressed in an effort to remove diversity under the guise of creating equality. Now that's a more fitting thesis for all of the points that she's actually touched on in her essay. Nevertheless, she does pinpoint what the role of censorship serves in Ray Bradbury's story and the lesson that it teaches to us. She says, in the end, the novel underscores the importance of curiosity, critical thinking, and individuality, which is exactly right, and ends with a great flourish. She says, in today's world where information and misinformation is easier to consume than ever, Fahrenheit 451's lessons remain relevant, reminding us to stay vigilant and committed to independent, critical thought and the preservation of intellectual freedom. Overall, this is a fantastic essay, considering it was written by a student who's actually not even in grade 9, but a year under, because she skipped a grade. And she even remembered her works cited list. Ultimately, I hope this was helpful and that I've managed to address the worst of my handwriting offenses.